Welcome to episode 25 of the Corey Shepherd podcast. Welcome back to everybody who's been listening. Welcome to all the new listeners. Remember, you could find us. I will always send out the cadence link. It'll be on Instagram. You could follow me at Corey. Wait, where is it on Instagram? Boy, let me make sure I'm telling all the right thing. I think it's Corey Shepherd. Just look for Corey Shepherd on Instagram now. You'll find either my page or the podcast page. That's cool. You could follow on Facebook. Same thing, Corey Shepherd podcast on Facebook. And, of course, from the Cadence Club link, or if you just search for it, you'll find the podcast on Spotify, Apple, Google, YouTube, TuneIn Radio, anywhere podcasts available. Twitter and everything. And like I search, I wanted to see what to tell people to do. So I go and search Corey Shepherd just to figure out what comes up. And I realized the podcast coming up before my regular work. So before my boss fired me, I better start to do some more things on the job. So that when people search, they can find my real work information. Yes, this starting to get a little bit risky. So how was everybody week? I hope everybody had a great week. I had a real good week. This week was Stacey's birthday, so we had a little low key, above board, no people, social distancing and mask wearing type of celebration. Not much in the West, right? No? We had a light celebration. We decided we're running up on the beach and just chill. I find when I go to the beach, I just kind of be able to grung off and make take a load off, take some of the stress off and wash off some of the heaviness of these times. And I get to do just that. And the beach was nice. I went, was that Wednesday? That's the day to go on the beach. The beach is for during the week. I used to love to go Maracas on a Sunday morning back in the day. Like everybody used to go up and have a good time. But I'm frightened now. I think it had too much people. So I say, let me take it during the week and, no police on the beach and all these things. So it was nice. So we get some advice from our friend, right? I ain't putting nobody out there to sunny it, but they say, when you go on the beach for bacon shark, make sure and go by Uncle Sam, because Uncle Sam is sell real shark. Now, I don't really care if it's catfish, shark. I don't care what we eat it, because what I really buy bacon shark for is to drong it down in all them sauces. I just interested in the tamarind, shadow benny, and I have an order I put my thing in. I put my pepper sauce first, then I go into tamarind to sweeten up the pepper sauce, then I put shadow benny, hit my garlic sauce, and then I could go to all the other stuff and the salad and all them things. That don't mean so much to me, but by the time I done put tamarind sauce and all them things, I drink in that bacon shark. So I'm more interested in something to put all the thing on, if you understand where I'm coming from. But the people say, check them out. Uncle Sam, they sell real shark, and the other people don't sell no real shark. Them selling catfish. So I say, all right, we going by Uncle Sam and thing. And to be honest, I tasting a little different. It tasting like if it's real. It tasting like if it's real shark. I don't know how. I mean, me ain't no expert, but it tastes a little different from what I'm accustomed getting by Richards, or either by Richards or by Natalie's. I'm at two spots. But the only thing I have with Uncle Sam's is they I don't know if it's because of COVID or what. All the condiments was in like ketchup bottles, like squeeze bottles. So you can't dip the spoon and take out your own sauce and thing. I didn't like that too much. I suppose it's safer than somebody taking a spoon and dipping it over and over. But if we being honest, I'd rather how Richard is laid out and I could put how much ever tamarind sauce something I want. Sometimes I feel like to dip my, if nobody ain't watching, I dip my whole bake in that shadow benny sometimes. But other than that, the little Uncle Sam's was good. And I get I have a real fat man routine now. When I reach on the beach, I eat in a bacon shark one time. And then I take a itis and I take a 5. I take a little dip for 5 minutes. So the water was real good. Real good. Not cold or nothing. It was nice. And when I'm leaving now, I go and get next bacon shark just to go with real fat man style. But it was nice. I hope people getting out to the beaches. And I think that I was telling some fellas this week, they was asking me if I was wearing mask and thing. Not really. Because it didn't have much people on the beach at all. Like it was well above 6 feet away from everybody. Except when people, them little trainers come to sell you all kind of pomerac and lemon and thing. Yeah, I'm trying to get a little close. But other than that, I keep my mask on when it's time to go to buy the bacon shark. And when I'm sure I'm going to be around people. But other than that, I'll take my little chair rental and chill. We sleep most of the morning. I know Stacey was sleeping. I take a good little 5 on that beach. And take a quick dip. Like long time you couldn't wait for your parents to get the go ahead to go in the water. Now, like going to the beach, I hardly go in the water. But anyway, what's happened this week? We We had an interesting we had an interesting last week, right? So let me start at the start. Let me start with the COVID things, right? Let me get that out of the way early and then we'll get to the culture, right? The lockdown don't seem to have changed much at all. It seems to be the same exact things happening where the lockdown concerned. Because the bars still not able to open. And I see the bar, the bar owners association, like they fire the bar lives matter man too because he come out, he get bad, I think his name was Marlon something or another, and he get bad. He come out and say how he was expecting to open back and this and that, and they're not satisfied with the prime minister protocol. That boy, that man come and offer a quick apology. I don't know what going on behind the scenes, like if they're working out something, but apologies were made. But the bars still close. Well, I shouldn't say close. I keep saying close. Sorry about that. They open, but you can't drink on the premises. Restaurants, you still can order alcohol at the restaurant. So I guess you take soft drinks. Well, Movie Town and them, they open back. Let me confirm that. Let me confirm that because I assume they open back. I know they said when they couldn't serve food, they wasn't going to be open. But yeah, they open for business now and they're showing the little movies, social distancing protocols. You could buy your food and stuff. But I find it's a strange thing. Like we talked about a few weeks ago about Chaguanas closing, and the reason given was COVID, of course, but also some issues with the landlord and all that. So remember that we talk about that, and now apparently this week they now say they officially closing because I was passing up in Price Plaza all the time and I find the signs still up. If I close down my place, if I own a place and you close down by me, I call you to take down your sign to make sure I could rent it to somebody else. And I would think that you as the business owner too, you want to move your signage and anything that associates you with that location. You might want to get rid of it. But it was kind of looking like if there might be still a chance that they open. But now they say they officially closed and they got back to issues with the landlord. So I don't know. I'm still not partner. I feel there's more to that story than just that. I honestly believe that whatever it is happening between Derek Chin and them and the landlord, he glad to get out of it. If I wasn't so sure before, I feel like I'm sure now. He glad to get rid of that brand. And I wouldn't be surprised if they going and reopen a next movie tongue somewhere else in Chaguanas. Like I'm watching down by Brentwood, just after they pass Edinburgh. There a whole big building going up there. I don't know, that look like a good location to me, yes, and more convenient than coming in all that traffic in Price Plaza too. So I know. But Derek Chin, strange enough, of a businessman who's done excellent and usually have a real good reputation in the country. This man and his son complaining a lot, boy. I find they are one of the biggest businesses in the entertainment world or in the country, and I find like they complain. But every time a reporter come in front of them, they ain't happy with this. The restaurants, they can't serve alcohol. I mean, at some point, everybody figuring it out, Derek. Everybody trying to figure this out. There are restrictions all the time, and we can't operate as normal. So I'm not sure if the goal is for you to not change nothing you're doing and make money as usual. Or, I guess, like with everybody else, you don't want to send home staff and you don't want to downsize your business and thing, but we'll go press the button and figure out some stuff. Yeah, all the fellas bright. Look at what you come up with. When they had announced that there was going to be a movie tongue and they say $35 a movie at the time. I said that was impossible to do. $35 for one movie when we used to pay. I remember going. Well, I guess if you're in different parts of the country, you're going different places, right? But growing up in St. James, the spots for us was Astor, Globe, Strand. I wonder if people will remember it had one with a V, boy. The only thing coming to my mind is Vista Bella, but that I ain't think that right. But maybe it is. It was on terrible with street names. It was just not a Globe going up Vistarama. Vista, you're good old. If you're listening to this and you remember Vistarama, you're good old. Your knees creaking. That was the spots for us. We used to go in them cinemas and we used to go there and watch 2 movies for. I remember one of the earliest times I go in movies. I have a little friend to carry in the cinema the first time. And when I say I go in cinema, it's $20 to give me to go cinema. You pay. I think at the time the movie was $8 or $10. And then for the next $10 or whatever change you get, you could get your hot dog and your popcorn and your drink and thing with that. Boy, you know, it's something like I'm real. You used to hear your grandparents talk about, yes, you used to go to school at 10 cents and you have passage and you still have money. That's something just like them. But it's true. We used to go to cinema and take in 2 shows. They used to show our old show first, or a show that nobody didn't like first. Or sometimes if the first show used to be good and then the blockbuster come after that. And you know what they used to do too? Like if a part 2, like how they bring out Bad Boys for Life, they would pair that with Bad Boys 2 or Bad Boys 1. So you watch the part 1 and the part 2. Like, even talking about this now, you realize how long we used to stay in cinema. if they're showing 2 movies and have an intermission in between, let me say the movie is an hour and a half a piece, a short movie. That's 3 hours plus a 15 minutes in between. That's a long time we used to sit down there in cinema, but now, I guess life too fast paced now, we wouldn't go through that. But I mean, Direction and them come up with a concept. I mean, it wasn't new to the world. Everywhere they had multiplex cinemas all over, but they were the first people to do that multiplex here and charge much more money for one movie, create a great experience, and you know the whole thing is a vibe to the point where I remember after the Bill movie song, I went back Globe to see something. I never feel so unsafe in my life. All the time I go in Globe, you know. But boy, after movie time, when I go Globe, I frighten like hell. I want to leave there as fast as possible. But I mean, you're one of the most innovative people in the country, man. Stop complaining, you and your son. Jesus Christ. Just make the adjustments. Do some things different, you know what I mean? Only have a real good opportunity. I was in a class the other day, and a student was asking, like, with Movie Town, the retail not pumping, the cinema not pumping. Why not make a big drive-through screen, the parking lot empty most of the time when I go down there? You know, they could, and they own the compound in town at least, right? Why not do a huge screen, let people drive? It creates an experience. Also, and remember, too, as a business owner, it's not just your frustration of not being able to make your targets and, of course, maintain your staff and keep your commitment to your people and your suppliers and all that, but for the entertainment people, we need a little help through these COVID times, boy. Me and Lion, it's hard. I don't know what, I mean, I talked about promoters before and what they're doing or trying to figure out. But the people who own cinemas, the people who own entertainment businesses and things, all the other, are putting some pressure on all you. Come up with some things now, man. This thing frustrating everybody home. We need an outlet. And if it have an outlet that we could pay for and still be safe, I think it will help a lot of people out here. So, I mean, if we're talking outlet, right? So, some people had some outlets this weekend. Some people had some outlets, right? So, what to talk about first? The Zess or the Zess? Which one to talk about? Is that there are 2 Zess this weekend. They had a Private Zess and they had a Wedding Zess. Now, I don't know where to start with this thing, but because I see the Private Zess first, right? So, down in Carney, they had a whole Zess. Now, if I'm being honest, I see this thing bubbling on Instagram and I see this thing bubbling on Instagram and floating around WhatsApp about Zess parties. I'm not sure if everybody's seeing these things, but if you're in enough WhatsApp groups, you're probably seeing stuff like this going around, right? Because people advertising the little fete and the little thing. It's not to say that these things totally unknown. I see something in St. Augustine. I just get something on my phone just now. Something in St. Augustine is like I don't know what to call it, like a orgy party. That I would think that an orgy, I would think that now is not the best time given the situation to have an orgy, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of fluid. Some strange, there's bunks of COVID there. But I see it advertising, and anything I see advertising, I show some people will go. But this thing was going around, and I hearing that wasn't the only one. They're saying that venue in Carney, I think they say it was in Kelly Village, that they say last 2 weekends before this one, they had big fete going on there too. And I mean, you're seeing it more and more. A couple of weekends ago, I was driving from far, coming home from Grandy at night. And as you know, you're driving home, you're kind of sleepy. And so I want something to take a sip or to munch on or something. And I really forget it now that after a certain hour, the whole place locked down and the place is a ghost town. So I pull up in a place. No, I driving past a spot. It looked like a little bar and thing. But I seen like people outside are hearing music and things. So I say, well, all right. Let me duck in here. I ain't calling no area and thing, because I don't want no smoke. But I say, let me duck in here. I must get a little drink and a couple pack of nuts or something that could carry me up the road safe, you know what I mean? So I go on and I say, I think by the door, you have to press a bell. But now I know something going on because music jamming when I go on by the door. When I press the bell and they let me in, boy, like I find myself in a whole spot. It's Spanish and boy, I get so frightened. I say, boy, let me come outside here. I just seen Gary and them kicking in that door and my whole career and everything down the drain. I just saying, boy, what is this I put myself in? And I had you can't let yourself, I had to ask some fella, say, what happened? Or somebody had to open the door for me. I want to come out of here. But the music blasting, I've on my mask. Nobody in there wearing mask, mind you. It's like a whole different world in there from what everybody else going through with COVID and thing. But, I mean, that is happening. So the zest was going on, and you know what I mean? They think it's steamy. They look like a damn good time, if I'm being honest. I see the clips going wrong, and it looked like a nice fit. There was a lot of Vapor Maxes, a lot of bathing suits, a lot of jamming, people jamming on the bar. It was nice. Party looked like it's swinging. I can't tell you I see any mask. I ain't really see nothing looking like a mask at all. But well, I know when I see the clip, you could see the point exactly at which the police run in because men try to scatter. I see a little clip too with that fellow on top of a roof. It looked like he tried to Spider-Man his way out of the thing and climb up on a rooftop. Boy, then police reach up on a rooftop and drag the man across the roof. They put everybody in effect to kneel down. Everybody hands in the air. And I mean, I wonder like what he was thinking. What was all the plan? Because the music loud, I think all the neighbors could see how much cars driving in there and think this is clearly, whatever all he was having there, it was breaking COVID protocol or the public health ordinance, whatever it is. So I wonder who idea this is. All ain't worried about getting caught. The man who owned that venue, who rents out that, they say somebody own a warehouse and he rents it out to them for the party. My boy, you're not worried about what is happening in the country. You're studying. Forget the law, the fact that you're putting plenty of people at risk first, right? You're putting plenty of people at risk for a fete. All you're frightened to get catch. All you even try to do this thing on the low or tell people, well, now you can't park here. You go and park in the parkade in town and you shuttle all you down the road or park in Price Plaza so nobody can suspect nothing. Then you go have a shuttle. Nothing. Well, they're just going out outright. So when I hear people vex about police busing the party, I kind of confused. The thing about it is like, all they didn't even try to hide it. All they wanted to get catcher. And I just saw that they say they're going to lay charges against these people. And everybody who was there, 250 people, they're saying. They're going to lay charges and it seems as though they're letting them go to lay the charge. I didn't understand exactly what they meant when they said the way they will lay the charges. And I suppose, I don't know if that means they will pay a fine or they'll pay in court. And court these days is on Zoom and thing anyway. But I did find it kind of strange that if you have a problem or if you're breaking the law and the reason for the law is because you're trying to arrest the spread of COVID and not overwhelm the health system. I was kind of thinking to myself, but it might be such a good idea to carry all of them in a police station. If you're carrying them, what's the point? Better let them fat because if you carry them in a police, you're just exposing more people. So it's 250 plus now exposed. And listeners, feel for them police, because them police putting themselves at risk all the time. Every time they had a raid or one of these events, they putting themselves at risk again COVID. So, I mean, it's one of them things I hope. I see London Zess, youth named Jordan, come out and make a public service announcement. Let me find Jordan public service announcement. I don't hear this for yourself.
How we like it? Steamy. Well, guess what? No more steam. Coronavirus is a serious virus. So all of we inside. 6 inside. Okay. So no more Zess parties. It's a serious virus. It's a lockdown. No parties. You see me? Okay. I inside a lockdown. Trini pussy, best pussy. I with my pussy inside. I not going no party, no Zess. And it's that. And big up all of the TTPS for the excellent work. You don't know. Okay.
You go tell me the MBT inside. You go tell me the police has soft me up for you to come and make video, but see me. Listen, this youth leave where he is. I watched a little video with him the other day. The man in London, Zess, right? His parents live all over the place. I don't know if they're in the UN or something, but he traveled all over the world. Several countries the man live in. And he come here and fall into that. I don't know what he find himself in, but he fall in. He's a star in the whole Zessin world. And when you see the videos of all of them packing up, leaving, leaving the venue with the police, you know what I mean? Police corralling everybody up. You seeing this tall white boy walking through the thing looking like a sore thumb is like, how you find yourself in that? You are your good upbringing. Look at where you coming to find yourself in. And here now, the man love it, you know. He not leaving that alone for nothing. But a little lumps to solve probably plenty problems, you know. Look like the police get London a little soften up and say, here, what, make a video and get your little Zest friends on them to stay home. All you need to cool it, man. From that whole Zest squad, it ain't making sense. And I don't know, the thing about it is this, right? This is young people. Like I'm watching this little fella, he's 20-something, little fellas. The thing about it is, it making me wonder, like, who is the promoter for this party? I sure is not no little fella like that. Somebody who big and has sense promoting these parties. DJs taking the booking, MC, bar taking the book. What we doing? Because, I mean, it's easy to sit down and look at them and say, well, all right, when you see the video, of course, the police has showed them, but who is the promoter? I sure it's no 21-year-old fella own that venue. What going on with you, my boy? You unconcerned. Whatever happen. If we get a massive outbreak, and I see some in New York, I talked about that before, and never forget that, you know, putting bodies in trailers in cold storage outside the hospital, because I don't have enough space to put them. I see people in Italy, I see a fellow making a phone call. His sister died from COVID. This is in the early days when numbers were real high in Italy. They were the highest number of cases in the world at a time, and the highest amount of deaths. And he said the coroner's so overwhelmed. He called the coroners on them 2 days ago. And they ain't come for the sister yet. The body just covered on and shit. Listen, them things real morbid, you know. So, I mean, I like to come here and make my joke and thing. And I know, like, I had to say, like, I with his Zessin squad too, because I'm not perfect at it. And I make my little mistakes and my bad decisions and ill judgments and ill timing at times too. So, I ain't saying I out it or what you call it, like pulling myself out. But oh God, don't keep a Zest party with 250 people. Imagine what will happen if one person had COVID at that venue. You think about it. There's the possibility of contact tracing is minimal. No, they don't know one another. We don't know who came to the party. We have no idea where it is happening. Everybody gonna deny they was there anyway because everybody knows something illegal. I don't know what the owner of the venue as a big adult. What you gonna say when something like that happens? You gonna pull yourself out too. Nobody ain't gonna be able to hear because up to now your name and call, nobody don't know who's you. All they're just saying is a warehouse in Kelly Village in Carney. So youths, we had to do better. I don't know if there anybody who listening to me wrong there. And I would assume too, if there anybody listening to me, I ain't so sure that they're going they're going that to risk their life and that. And then, like everybody's saying during the week, you go to that, you're gonna be good. You could get COVID. I see a fella in the comments on one of them Instagram pages saying he leave the party 5 o'clock in the morning. And he glad he reached home before Gary and them come and that. And somebody was telling him about, boy, you don't find it irresponsible. Look how you talking about this. Like if he said, boy, I don't get COVID already. I don't get over that. So me in business, I don't lie. I was like, oh God. You know what I mean? So you ain't concerned if the thing spread. You carry it home. Older people now, people who predispose are other conditions. I mean, we don't know what it is. Yes, but the thing about it too that I feel like we have to address as a country. We see this is not different here than anywhere else in the world. Everybody like to, you know, we like to look at our youths and our Zessin as the worst thing that ever happened to anywhere. But keep in mind that we see this in Miami several times. We see it all over the world where youths still trying to find a way to congregate. I find that we had to admit that is a normal thing, and we had to anticipate that is an issue. We can't sit down here and pretend that youths not going to ignore this thing and go and do their own thing. Let me just assume that is going to happen. Young people still want to party and lime and thing, especially where them don't realize that most of them will get over the corona already, that nothing gonna happen to them. I seen they're talking a lot about the long-term effects and thing. When you was 21, I want you tell me how much of long-term effects you used to study when you was making the decisions you make. So let me just assume that these youths go and party and this and then maybe let's make a plan to suit that. Let's not wait until it happens and then everybody in an uproar to jump on social media and comment on this and that and the third. So I'm saying everybody facing some kind of reduced income or some kind of issue like that, most of us, right? So if somebody get approached for a venue and they could get pay and that could pay some bills or fill a hole, it's human beings, the temptation will be there. So I think if we're doing legislation to do, let me do the legislation. Let me make sure that anybody who have a venue that people found doing this kind of thing where they have a big paid event and thing, sanction the venue owner different from the patrons. Sanction the DJ and them kind of people different from the patrons. Who send the drinks? Where the drinks come from? Them fellas went by Souping Chow and buy all the drinks? Or it have a bar that take these bar people? I don't want to call no companies names, because I don't have no problems. But it have people who do bars for you. And them will come and put on the bar. Them do it, or people went and buy the thing by Souping Chow. Because Souping Chow can't know if you come to buy drinks, what you going to do with the drinks. But I think that he could say, I had one customer who come for 150 case of beers. And then the police could say, well, all right, maybe that's something we could do something about. Better we assume that the thing going to happen. If it's not Souping Chow, the big boys, the manufacturers, them fellas deliver drinks to their venue. Because if you're delivering drinks to a venue, I think somebody should be alerted and say, boss, we drop out 100 case of beers. How much of Malta, stout, we drop out. This was the order. This is what we drop off. Because we can't let the police always going to get a bad rep in these situations. Because the police by nature is reactive. Police not preventative by what they do. So the laws are to help us with the preventative part of it. Let me put some things in place that say, hey, if you're a DJ, and you take a booking for this thing, your fine is X. If you are a radio station owner and this thing going on under your control where ads going out and that, I'm not saying that it did, but if ads going out for events and those types of things, we coming by you and we're going to check you and you have a fine to pay. So that make it in the best interest of everybody involved in throwing an event for 250 people. Make it in their best interest to say no, because youth's going to come. Youth's going to find a way. So what we had to be doing is making it harder for them and try to stop making it harder for the police, because the police have no right in these hard times to have to be on top of a roof in the rain, dragging a man coming. Come on. I guess some good kicks on the police and thing last week. One policeman who get it back. Hey, you know, on another note, the man who the police bellows, all you know he ever go for me to get bail. I'm not making this up. The man ever go for me, so go and go for me and help the man get bail now, man. But we can't be making it harder for the police. It's done hard already. And we can't pretend like police, sometimes we talk, I guilty of it too. We talk about police like it's not real people and them don't have real families. I can't imagine what it's like for a policeman after he worked that event. And not work the event, but you had to bust that event and carry people down and book people and thing. You had to go home to your mother now, who might be older or might be, have different conditions and thing. That ain't right, man. And then the police, they say it might take about a week. The police had to go and do 250 charges. Why we doing this? I think the lawmakers had to help. So that if the bar owner know, hey, you cannot sell people over X amount of cases. And people will always, I ain't saying this in the dark, people will always find ways to go around it. Any law you create, people will find a way to break it. But the idea is, they say with security, put security measures in place so that you are not the easiest place to break in on your block. Because when the bandit watching around to see how they watch your thing and they say, boy, nah, that's too hard. You know what I mean? I feel like for the youths and them and that whole Zess thing, which happened, and the St. Augustine orgies, I want to tell you the name of the St. Augustine thing. I want to put it out there one time. Maybe this is something that could help it not happen. I see a thing saying Satoru G Club. Maybe I shouldn't advertise this because they might want to go on there and check on it. But they say gangbang party. If you see the picture on the thing, I say it's a hell of a gangbang. I mean, if it's man, woman, or beast in this picture, but whatever it is, they're close. They're close, like inside, kind of close. So we had to figure out ways to make sure that these things are too hard to do because right now it's seeming like it's a little too easy to do. So, having said all that, I see within hours of the Zess thing coming out and people there, I see a wedding. Now, I had to give a little backstory in this wedding because if you listen to this podcast long enough, I have Coco in his son too. You know, I have Coco in his son, so I can't go and talk too much about wedding. Maybe after my time come and gone, I could talk more about wedding and thing. I trying to avoid talking about wedding. Next thing you know, I end up in the papers. Because my problem is this, right? I don't know which side of the fence I fallen on. I don't know. I don't know if I was to have a hypothetical event during these COVID times. I don't know if I will fall on the side where police run in and make everybody kneel down and thing, or if I will fall on the side where police openly saying I am, you know what I mean? No, this is a private thing and it was by invitation only. And so I'm not sure which, so I'm nervous talking about this. But I see a wedding. And the backstory is this, right? I wonder how much, I don't know how much it is to say, but I have had reason to be reaching out to people who do decor and so on recently, right? Let me put it like that. So I talking to somebody who may or may not be a decor person, right? And we trying to not finalize. I just talking to them, right? Not finalizing, talking. And I can't get the person to sit down and work out exactly what needs to be done and what might be the hypothetical price and how to pay a hypothetical deposit. I can't get none of them things done at all. And I say, but this dude is all over the place. We talking about business and you can't respond, you're busy. And it's like, nah, don't worry yourself. Listen, right now I have XYZ. Me realize that is the wedding. The man had work to do. So the man had big castle to build and life-size photo to put and must belly dancers to organize and things. So the man in studying me who calling window shopping and calling to find out price of this and price of that. He have it thing going on. He must collect a nice money. And the first set of pictures I see at the wedding look nice. The wedding have a big, I don't know, it look like a castle as an entrance. And they have everything nice. They have a pool, like they cover over the pool and the real mako. If you had to think about a dream wedding, that is the dream wedding. And then a little by little, more photos start to come out and little videos. So I say, well, this is nice. Young people getting married and think the thing nice, man. Then I see is fireworks. When people doing first dances, you had fireworks for your first dance for your wedding, asking all you. Or if you ain't get married yet, you planning to have fireworks when it's first dance, the bar done set, so you can't go lower than that. But it seemed to be a big affair. And then I see Parang Rome, hugging up the bride and groom and thing, and like Rome get hosting work. You can't get me wrong. This if you do hosting and thing, this had to be a rough time. You ain't getting too much of work. So he hosted and then little by little I started to see more videos now, people dancing, people having a good time. I seeing mask optional kind of situations. And you know, the nice thing was I watching Rome Instagram, Rome posting thing, but he have a hashtag saying all COVID protocols were observed and there was social distancing and everybody wore their mask for the entirety. It's the longest hashtag I ever seen in my life. And then when you know somebody lie like hell. Anytime you have to put a hashtag long, so you lie. You. So when I see the videos now, I say, hey, this look like the kind of wedding you want. This thing swinging. But I ain't seen no police. I ain't seen nothing like that. I see the Express try to write an article that I don't know, and maybe I try to follow the papers leading, because when the papers being careful about topics, I want to leave it out or be careful about it too, because the Express writes something saying it was a private residence and they had a wedding and it was invitation only, and most guests seem to be wearing masks or some guests wore masks. You know what I mean? So they're trying to write an article without making any accusations. But what I know for sure, is that I ain't see no police. But you see, nobody there wasn't wearing no sort of vapor max and thing neither. It's a different kind of audience. But no police in come. People look like they had their wedding. The wedding looked like it went nice. Everybody in love. People dancing and having a good time. That's what the life is about. But when people get accused of having double standard, how you go argue with that? If that is not a double standard, I don't know what is. And I'm waiting to hear from Guy Griffith all the time because, he's a man, the bigger the story, the more likely he is to hear. He want to be a part of the story too. He wants to be a part of the story. He don't want to comment on the story. He want to insert himself in it. So, little by little, he come out and say first a statement was released that there was a wedding on Private. I don't know how much people was in the wedding yet, but I know they said his Zess was 250. But I had to assume that you're not putting fireworks there for 25 people. If it's 25 people, better you just light your lighter, you know what I mean? All you know lighter or just put on your phone light. You remember sparklers? You used to write little starlight. I feel he was putting all them fireworks for 25 people. So I had to assume there's plenty of people was there and all they had a good time. And no police thing come true. But Guy Griffith come out and say that is a private event at private property, and it was invitation only, and there's no limit to how much people you could put in a private event. Now, understand what I'm saying, right? He's a policeman. The police are there to enforce the law, which he says all the time, and it's true. So you cannot give him wrong if he raid one event and he couldn't raid the next event, because he also said that in cases like those, which, let me put it this way, you're defeating the purpose of what you're trying to do as a country in terms of managing COVID if you could, in theory, have an event with 250 people home, because the effect of that event could be the same as one where it's have 250 people in a warehouse in Caroni. I don't see how it make a difference to what I describe in New York or Italy being one of the consequences that could potentially happen. Hopefully it don't happen, right? But it could happen. Because if you put 250 people together and one of them are COVID and you dance and you sing and it's belly dancing and all these nice things, the spread will be the same. I mean, granted, it might be easier to find out where the people went after. I suppose you have an invitation list and those things. But, I mean, the amount of people that could spread, how it could be any different? If you remember, we talk here about Usain Bolt having a private party by invitation only, and how many people were he found out the morning after. He said he found out on Instagram and Twitter and saying that he had COVID, and everybody, when you watch that party, it was mayhem. Raheem Sterling was at the party and thing, and people started worried about the fantasy team because you didn't know who would get COVID. So the reality is that 250 people anywhere in close proximity, based on what they're saying about COVID, is an issue. So if we pass in laws that allowing 250 people to gather in private, or any amount of people to gather in private, according to the commissioner, but in public, people could get arrested and sit down on the ground and embarrassed and splash all over social media and drag off roof and those things, then the law is a problem. You're putting the police in a bad position. Because I hear him say, well, to avoid things like that and people who not acting within the discretion or not being responsible, they could do roadblocks, they could do EMA, and dread, that's frustrating the police. You're frustrating these limited resources that the police have to chase after people who simply being irresponsible. And this is why I always talk about personal responsibility, because I don't think you could run a country and depend on people to be responsible. But I think your legislation and your laws have to be built with the understanding that no matter how much laws you have, people have to be personally responsible for what they do. And that is what you need to legislate, so that there are consequences when you're being irresponsible. You cannot put everything in law. If you can't write a law for every... And you know the thing about law too, law almost always looking backward. Something happened and then you try to figure out a law. I mean, sorry for everybody who know law who listening to this, so that might be factual at all, but it seems that way to me. Like if you're constantly, as new things arise, you have to adjust the laws to suit. So, all right, COVID come up and we realize now the public versus private is an issue. How are we going to address that? Because the thing about it is I can't help but see or understand when people say that it bias and they're against us. And Gary went on to one long thing about people like to talk about race. I'll play a little clip from where he was on the morning show in a little while, because I think Blaze do a real good job interviewing him and asking him some questions too. But he's saying that people like to play this card about race or look them doing it too. And okay, that's true. But the reality is this: how you expect people to not feel like if you're attacking them as a bias against them or they're being singled out when they're doing the exact same thing that have the exact same results, but on a technicality, one okay and the next one not okay? And then tell me something. Which poor people house could hold 250 people? Which private residence a poor man have that 250 people could come together to do something? Because if they keep in Zess, and I'd assume Zess happening in private residence too, but I would also assume that it can hold 250 people. So if you allow in large gatherings, or the size of your gathering is based on how much people you could afford to entertain home for yourself and how much space you have to entertain people, you ain't find the law done set up bias already against a certain group of people. So why everybody acting surprised like if people feeling singled out? Because the reality is that we still dependent on people to do the right thing. We dependent on people to do the right thing when it comes to managing COVID and managing the numbers and the public healthcare system. But the people who we dependent on to do the right thing is as the articles say, is high society people and government ministers. We thinking that, hey, if you have a big residence something, now might be the best time for you to do this. Again, you also seem to have a lot of resources because you build a whole castle as an entrance way for a wedding or something. You tie up deco people, like you get a deco person to talk to. You tie up every deco person in the country. You blow up fireworks, you have belly dancers. I don't know where they get the belly dancers are done mask, I can tell you that. But they get belly dancers. It seems to have a very lavish ceremony. I want to believe in that ceremony. You ain't toasted no punching. I feel you toasted nice thing and them too. You get Rome, big Rome and thing from, and you listen to Rome and them on the radio is the most responsible kind of talking to them and talking about what people should do and how they should this and that. You get the best people, the best thing, the best food I assume, nice drinks, fireworks, the full works. So it was so important for you to do that in your life you couldn't delay that based on what the rest of the country need and what everybody need. You didn't say, well, you know what? We could do a small ceremony given that it's COVID now. Because I want to assume, let's say the vaccine come and this thing, let me assume 2022, 2023 it blow over. I feel all you go still have money then. I feel all you will still be together. Well, I mean, maybe that's the problem. Maybe the problem is that people are sure they're going to be together for them length of time. I don't want to put that on nobody's marriage now. But why you couldn't do a little small thing? You have enough money to do a great 10 people or 25 people ceremony. And then when the thing free up, you could do a ceremony with 1,000 people and rent out the whole Hyatt for yourself, or you do it home or whatsoever it is, and have the same effect as then. But nah, everybody else is the problem. Because I could tell you, I could guarantee you, half the people at that wedding. Let me say this wedding was this weekend, and then the Zess was 2 weeks from now. Half the people at that wedding would be on social media and within the circles and things saying, look at them, look at them, look at them, look at what they, you know what I mean? Look what they're listening to. This is the best they could do. They kill everybody. Everybody feels somebody else is the problem. So let me get to Gary morning show interviewer. I liked it a lot. I wonder how much it is legal to take people interview and play just so I know. But it have a part of that wall later here. And this is from Slam 100.5 morning show with Blaze and Miles, right?
Well, and again, they tried this. There are different tricks to the trade. The next thing they want to try is to say, well, listen, we're not charging you. We ask you to put a donation. A donation means that if you put money, it's like a church. It's not that if you don't put it into the basket, they're going to throw you out to the church. A donation is one that whether it is you put it or not, you will be allowed entry. That is so they're going to try all sorts of different tricks to throw these parties, because the persons who are running these parties are irresponsible. And so you don't feel that you're using a donation unless it is your private property and the persons you're inviting are your private guest family members. Now that is where they come a different gentleman, because people will say, well, what's the difference? The difference is that is the law. I said I cannot police stupidity. So irresponsible behavior, persons being mature, doing the responsible thing in their private property is something totally different that I cannot touch because I cannot police stupidity. And what I can police is that people break the law. If it is that I know there's a private home and and there are family members and 50 or 100 family members are all in one specific area. What we can do is have roadblocks outside, we could have DUI, we can look at EMA regulation, but we cannot be involved. That's when, remember we had the situation with the C-lots and very petty immature people were trying to compare the C-lots matter with Bayside. So to clarify it again, because of their ignorance and understanding the law, it has nothing to do with race or location. 25 persons on the seafront breaking the law by swimming in a public place, you're breaking the law. 3 girls in songs in Bayside, in private property, being invited in a private property, there's nothing that the police could do. It has nothing to do with race, but it has to do with ignorance of persons trying to always try to find race as an excuse for wrongdoing.
No, on any given Tuesday, I'm glad to come here and bad talk Gary a little bit and talk about what they do and what they didn't do. But the man have a point. Firstly, the idea that the police had to be, even when you hear him talking there, I find that a lot of it sounding like it left up to the discretion of the police, which is not a good thing. I think that's a reason why laws need to be clear and outlined so that, because anytime it's not like that, that is when you go see complaints about inequality or abuse of power and these things. So he basically saying he can't police stupidity. Fair. If you decide that you have a big enough venue, like we say you it's somebody only country club, right? And they decide to have something for 1,500 people. The question is it against the law? Apparently not. Does it put us at risk? I think it absolutely does. Suppose they decide to have a wet fete in country club where they only invite their people. It will put us at risk. And the only people who could do that really is the people who have the resources to do it. Because anything I had to invite 1,500 people, I don't think. But if I had to invite 1,500 people to anywhere, they go have to pay. You can't come for free and eat and drink and you know what I mean, take in belly dancers and these things. Only a certain part of society could do that. So when he's talking about having to police stupidity, it's the same thing I'm trying to say. Like they put any police in a position where they're under too much pressure and no matter what they do, it will look biased. And people really just doing it because they know they could get away with it. They're doing it because hey, it's within the law. But hey, is everything legal, the right thing to do? I don't know. The law got to catch up with this. And what I do find surprising where the lawmakers concerned is that we're not dealing with this for the first time. Because when people had engagement parties or whatsoever it was down the islands. Now, I know I talk about numbers that nowhere near the kind of numbers in a Zess at 250 or what the kind of numbers I would assume in a big wedding like that. But the same thing, because it's a private property, nobody can clamp down on it. And when people doing, I remember a huge, I think it was a bridal shower or something in Five Islands. Big music. That one is you're talking about loud numbers too. Those things not putting us. They're not any different. Is what I'm trying to say. They're putting us at the same level of risk as this. So if two things putting us at the same level of risk, but only one against the law and only one getting busted, people must find like against them, like they think biased. And I mean, in this country, we have a history of. You see, when you have, I don't know, I mean, I never really feel it's race too much, in this country. When you have, you're okay and you could do things and get away with it and law could change in your favor and thing. And you see, when you don't have, crap will smoke your pipe. Like it reminds me of a song. I can't play no music for the Christmas, so I let it bear with me. It reminds me of a song, listen. Big wedding up in Valsane. Rum and roti flowing like rain. Big reception up in Valsane. Rum and roti, scotch and champagne. It's big doctors, big ministers, big lawyers, belly dancers. But for some obvious reason, the police can't really do them nothing, cause it was a big shot party. Was a big shot party. Music loud. Big crowd, no mask wearing, no social distancing. Big shot party. No police, No army, no gallery, it was a private party. Big shot party. The party was packed to capacity, but like COVID don't affect wealthy trainees. Because the same night down in Caroni, the police was raiding a Zess party. They make them kneel down, face on the ground, hands in the air, like all you don't care. When all your youths will comprehend that all is poor people, children, and this ain't no big shot party. Not a big shot party. COVID go spread, all of we go dead. Stop all your stupidness, all you putting we at risk. Big shot party. You're going to jail, can't get no bail. They say Val saying all you do this again. Big shot party. When the party was in Bayside, nobody had to run and hide. They say they can raid private residence, but to me it ain't making sense. Cause when it's big fete in 5 islands, nobody had to kneel down on the ground. But if that is a private residence, the next time I go I ain't paying a damn cent to go in the big shot party. I'm going in the big shot party. Law for you, law for me, law supposed to be for everybody. Big shot party. Big shot party. What? In a big shot party. Alright, so let me stop here because Coco in his son. On the only laugh and joke I Coco in his son. So let me get out to this topic quick. Well, to talk about. We have some serious thing to talk about because I see something this week too that was anybody who see this, it's upsetting. And I mean, I'm sorry to come out of something where we're making lighter thing to go into serious thing, but it's no way to transition into this, no? Open social media this week and I see what is a newborn baby. I mean, police estimating that is, 10 days or a couple weeks old, I think, and abandoned in a field in Freeport. Like, I don't know. And I mean, I don't want to get too deep into that because, like I say, some of them things just take me a long time before I could wrap my mind around what it is I'm looking at and what it is I'm reading. And the innocence of this little baby. And a man points out on social media that a baby abandoned there and the sock saying, "I love mommy." Them things heartbreaking. It take me a while to be able to, I guess, digest or comprehend what it is I'm looking at and what I'm reading. But so that's an issue on its own, right? And I mean, there's not much I could say about that. And kudos to all the authorities and everybody involved. I read that the baby is safe and she is in good care and she got all the medical care that she needs. So kudos to everybody involved there. And I want to say a special nod to the police. As much as we talk about the police and things, the police were called. Somebody said they hear like a baby crying and they called police and they were giving a lot of credit to WPC Coffee Joseph. So salute to WPC Coffee Joseph, who they were saying she led the investigation and even her colleagues were giving her credit, saying that it might be her maternal instincts and motherly instincts that lead them to find the baby. Because I suppose if you go out there and you're not hearing any crying, it's a hard thing. This is newborn. I mean, the article in every paper, so just look for it, baby found in Freeport, and you'll see it. But what I wanted to talk about a little bit on this, and keep in mind, I'm no expert in this, but I think we ourselves as people, we had to go a little easier on social media. Because while they said everything is okay with the baby, they said nobody came forward yet. I just want us to be conscious of the things we type and the things that we say, because even some of the headlines in the article, in the newspapers, saying it's cruel and inhumane and who's this wicked person, and people, people is going on social media is like, you should find them, and listen, everything is a death sentence on social media. But sometimes I want us just slow down, be a little more measured, and try to think of you and your children and why you find this is such a heartbreaking thing. And for just a minute, put yourself in somebody's shoes who feel like this is the best thing to do. Who look at a little baby, maybe is a mother who just make this baby. They say the umbilical cord was right there. Just spare a thought now. and try to think about what it would take for somebody to do that. I'm not sure if it is a wicked and cruel person. It might be somebody, if they're thinking that this is the best they could do, this is what they had to do in this moment, to leave this child and maybe somebody find the child. Or what, I don't know what the mindset could have been, but spare thought for that person, because they, like, postpartum depression and these things are real. Think of what it takes for somebody to put a child there. And then when we go and we see these things on social, because I mean, and I'm not saying I feel any difference about it, because one of my first reactions was I was angry. I was like, boy, look at this, you know what I mean? And I saw a lot of people saying, you know, they might have issues making children and they wish they could have a next child, or wish they could have a child at all, and somebody do this to a baby. Yeah, all them feelings valid. I'm not trying to say that you shouldn't feel how you feel. I just want to say that remember that this is a mother. Nobody come forward to claim this baby yet. A part of the reason nobody mightn't come forward, even though it was in that moment you do something that was not the best, and even if you find yourself and you catch back yourself and you get your mental back in a gear and you're feeling like you could come forward, how somebody would come forward if all the media saying this is the wickedest and most cruel person in the world? Think of it. I mean, it's make me wonder, like, sometimes we talk so openly about mental health and self-care and protecting your energy and this and that, but okay, if we're protecting our energy, sometimes too, when we see things happen, we have to take a little pause, take a little moment before you type out them things, because let's assume it's a mother who would do something like this. And for you to do that, in my opinion, your back got to be against the wall. A mother and a child is a bond that can't be separated, even by distance. And for you to do something like that, I mean, that person couldn't possibly be in a real good mental space and all happy and hunky dory about this thing. So, what would harsh words do to help that situation? Or blaming the person or pointing a finger. Think of if the person was going through postpartum depression. We didn't think that some of these headlines and some of these comments on social media might be making that 1,000 times worse. Suppose that mother, if it's a mother, who would have left that baby there. Suppose they're on Facebook. Suppose they're on Instagram. Suppose they buy papers and see what's going on. I would think they do. So I just really bring up this topic to say, and I'm not talking about this alone in isolation. I'm talking to us as a society in general. We have a real castigating way of dealing with things online, boys. Like, everything is a death sentence. We just want to behead people. So as you do so, you're beheaded. And you see, this is why making the effort to talk to more people in the mental health space, because I'm not saying I'm great at it either. I am always a work in progress. But I try to always have, you know, I think it was in a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I promised on the first podcast that I was going to do book recommendations and talk about things that I read in books and all that. And I really don't do it at all, but I have a few today. One is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's somewhere in that book, they said that they always have a space between stimulus and response. They were talking about something happening to you and your response. And sometimes we feel like one of the things I don't like to hear people say is, or I try not to say myself, is somebody make me do something. Nobody can make me nothing. I want to be always in a position where I have a choice. Every single thing I do in life, I want to get into the mindset that is my choice. I do that. I just feel like it's keep me in a better space, and I'm in more control of my actions, and I'm not blaming anybody else for the positions I'm in. But I mean, we acting like if when we see these things, there's no space between what we see and how we respond to it. And I just saying, insert that little space now. You see something at bad, I mean, anybody would have seen that thing. That thing was heartbreaking, boy. And I mean, gratefully, is one of them things where nobody in share. You know, sometimes you see something on social media or in the papers, and then within minutes you start to see more graphic images coming out. Salute to that group of police who went out there, and there was one photo that went wrong. I only see one photo that went wrong in the news, and there was not more graphic coming out and thing. Remember, I mean, I know it's a newborn, but remember that newborn gonna grow up too, and it's social media, these things written in ink. You think about, I hear people talk about how much they love their parents, regardless of what happened with you and your parents. People who get abandoned, people who father leave, it's an emotional moment. You find back your father after how much years you never even know, and you get to talk to them, and they have a relationship up to today. Salute to my guy Sean Francis and Sharon Francis Gaines, who basically put me onto some people in our world. I mean, I find myself there and I'm glad to be there, but they put me onto some people in the world of social work and social sciences, and Sharon herself is in that space. And when you hear some of these stories of what people going through, and I know I'm always saying this, but more and more I'll bring these stories to the fore as much as I can. Like, I was grateful to be invited to a call the other night where it was about domestic violence, and it was women sharing their story, and one woman in particular sharing her story about what she went through and so on. And from what I hear, I only hear the tip of the iceberg. I didn't hear the whole story. And listen, folks, we don't know what people walking around with, boy. We going about our lives, and sometimes you get absorbed in yourself, and you know somebody get a bad drive, you load them up, you this say that. We have to be a little more careful. I feel be a little more gentle, as Neola say, in the way we deal with things and deal with people. Boy, that response on social media cannot help that situation. It can't help that little child when she grow up and find out. She will grow up to find out what has happened to her. Well, maybe at that point she and mommy reunited and they could laugh and cry and talk about it and move past that. But I don't know what it is, boy. There was a story in that same book, right, where the guy was saying, and that is something that stood out to me and it stayed with me through my whole life. He said, and I'm going to botch up this story because I read this book a long, long time ago. But what he was saying is that he was on the train and he saw a fellow with some children. And the children bad. I mean, we in Trinidad, right? We know what bad children look like. They're running up and down, they're pulling people things, they're knocking things over here on the train. And he said the guy just sitting there not doing anything. He watching these children run amok and he not doing anything. So he say, you know how it's go. You get the person that kind of look. In Trinidad here, we stoops a few times and we blow. Or you yourself tell the train, hey, go and sit down. Don't, you're bubbling up. So he say he was bubbling up inside and thing, and eventually he had to tell the guy, he's like, this fella don't care. Your children get in trouble. You do business. You're not disciplining children. You're not raising the children right. And he said eventually telling me, he's like, sir, you have to control your kids. What is going on? And the guy said, oh, sorry about that. My mind real father just lost their mother. I haven't told them yet. Listen, you think of how much your own mindset shift. And he spoke about it in the book, and he's just like, oh my God, you went from wanting to crucify this person and looking down on them, how they're raising the children. You move from that immediately when you hear what's his story. The children mother just died. He now lost his wife, his children mother. Immediately you switch to the mode where you say, oh God, all right, let me help. Come, children. Let's say, So the thing about the moral of the story and what stood out to me is that we have it in us, or I have it in me. So no matter how vexing the situation is, I have it in me to see it in a different way. Because if I hear something else or get more information, I could see it in a different way. So I always try to put myself in the position where I could see it differently one time. If somebody get a bad drive, study what a person might be going through in life. Study the phone call them now get and the news they now get. Or study the mental state they might be in. Suppose the person diabetic, they get. And I mean, there's plenty of scenarios and things, but I just try to live in a way where let me figure out the scenario where I don't have to be harder on people than in their life hard. And I mean, nothing harder than seeing that baby left there and abandoned, except having to leave and abandon a baby there. I would think that just that much harder. So if you go easy, and I'm hoping that somebody comes forward and see that, that is not the only route. They have more, they have support, they have help. And I mean, I learning again, thanks to Sharon and they for involving me in something in a world that I would never know existed. And I getting to see that, hey, people walking around with plenty, people laughing and smiling and they're good. And I was even listening to Acacia's podcast where this woman is talking about being abused in a relationship financially and physically and otherwise, and a little child involved. And I mean, she's talking about this, and it's so easy to listen to her because she's talking about it and laughing in between, because you could hear is a overcoming. She not it's not holding her down and stopping her from achieving and doing what she had to do in life. And she's not any man again. She out of the situation, and she could talk about it so openly. And just keep in mind that the person you're driving next to, the person who annoying you, or the person who doing this, that, and the third, they might be going through plenty that you just don't know. So I'm leaving that there. I'm hoping I don't want to go back to this. I'm hoping that moms come out and find your baby. I don't know who would be the person who left them there, but gentle, as they say. So anyway, I'm going to the opposite of gentle now. Because you know I like verses, right? So I'm going to also trend that a little bit. Jeezy versus Gucci Mane. This episode is most all over the place episode I have ever done. It's all over the place. But Jeezy versus Gucci Mane, right? I like the concept of verses from Clash, and I just like, and I've been following all the verses. I was talking about Patti LaBelle and them on this one, on the last one, and I was wondering like where they could go from here. So they said that they was gonna do like Jeezy versus T.I., but T.I. was going off a little bit because T.I. was just calling out people. Like, I mean, I like T.I. music and all that, but when T.I. say you want 50 cents, I thinking, okay, this 20 songs, I ain't sure what T.I., and maybe it's just not me not knowing enough of the music. Probably don't. But I ain't seeing how he get into 50 Cent. And then he's talking to Busta Rhymes. I was like, listen, don't bother with Busta Rhymes. Maybe find somebody else. So T.I. and Jeezy, I wasn't too excited about it because, I mean, I know a little more T.I. music than Jeezy. And it was just not, I was like, nah, I ain't watching this. But then I hear they say Jeezy versus Gucci Mane. And I know now Gucci Mane might be, I don't know how much people like know him and follow him in Trinidad, or Jeezy for that matter. But let me tell you what get me interested in this, right? The same thing I was saying before about not recommending enough books. When I was reading a lot of books, and I always in between audiobooks and reading, like, you know what I started doing lately? I get the audiobook first because I have a subscription on Audible. So I just listen to audiobooks first. And then if the audiobook good, then I'll buy the physical book and do my highlighting and marking it and stuff, because the audiobooks help you to get through this stuff faster. Like you could get through some of them audiobooks in a day if you're driving and doing other things, and you will take in the info. But what's happened to me now is that when you listen to so much audiobooks, you can't really remember which book you hear what in. It's all a mush in your brain. So what I do is, if it's good enough and it's really very helpful and I want the book, I will get the physical book and go and highlight all the parts that stood out to me. So a book is what make me real interested in this versus coincidentally, because I like self-help books a lot, right? So I was telling you, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is one of the best books I ever read. Anybody who once you're into trying to do better and thing, and you're trying to see self-improvement, is one of the best self-improvement books I ever read. But I guess I read so much of them self-improvement books, and I improve a blasted thing, that I start looking at other type of books to read. And one of the things I realize is, if I read, I can't remember if somebody told me this or something, but if you read a lot of autobiographies, rather than somebody telling you what to do, you end up getting stories from people's lives. And I find like those things stand out, you know? You hear how they achieved, you hear the ups and downs, their struggles and things. And I started liking reading biographies and autobiographies. So it's about people's life and their thing. So somewhere along this route of reading these biographies, I end up coming across the autobiography of Gucci Mane. Now, I don't know a single Gucci Mane song, but I guess he was on Breakfast Club promoting the book. And I had just read Charlemagne had a book called, I can't remember the name of his book now. He had 2 books. One was just about his life, and the other one was about mental health. Maybe I should get the names of the books as we hear. We done here already, right? So after I was reading Charlemagne book, and Gucci Mane came up to promote his book, I said, well, I don't really follow Gucci Mane and thing that much, but I kind of get to like the idea of reading books from people who I don't follow, because if you read books like people who too much like you, what you go learn? You don't know so much about yourself already. So I say I go and read this book. Charlemagne book was Shook Ones. That was the one about mental health. And Black Privilege was the one just about his life and growing up in South Carolina and stuff. So I get onto this Jeezy book, this Gucci Mane book. And listen, I couldn't stop listening to this thing, because this is craziness in that book. Like this life and lifestyle. And I mean, when you think about the amount of drugs he take, and they were talking about this lean that they're drinking with, is codeine. It's codeine and Sprite. And the boy, listen, when the men properly drugged up and thing and doing music, and doing good, when you hear him talk about $30,000 a show, you're thinking, you're supposed to be doing good. Were you studying these things? So, but anyway, long story short, in the midst of the book, he talked about a dispute with him and Jeezy, same young Jeezy from Versus, and he was saying basically that a man ended up dead, and it was alleged that he and Jeezy fall out over a song. They do a song together, and it was supposed to be on who album and the thing, and then it ended up being beef. And then he said Jeezy sent the band to kill him, and like he get a drop on the man or the people, because there was more than one. There was like a bunch of people, like 4 people they sent to kill him, and he like one of them pick up, and the fella ended up dying. And Gucci was on a murder charge. He was in and out of jail anyway, but he was on a murder charge, and he ended up beating the murder charge based on self-defense. So all that to say, now I'm interested in this, because now I want to see this Versus, because I frightened. Because Gucci Mane, he not normal. And Jeezy look like a good little gangster too. I know he married the woman from, what is The View, or one of them, the real one of them talk shows. But when you look at these fellas' lifestyle, these fellas are no joke. These fellas are no punk. So I say I'm going to take in this Versus one. And boy, it didn't let me down, because I tell you, I don't know none of the music. All I'm watching it for is the tension. The tension is real, and I tell myself, them fellas go and spray up the place, because they do it in Magic City in Atlanta. And well, I went Magic City before. Listen, if you ever, you should go to Magic City, right? If you're in the States, or you're living in the States, or anywhere, or even if you're not living in the States, when the borders open, find yourself in Atlanta and head to Magic City. You will not regret it. Magic City is one of the greatest places in the United States of America. But we digress. When I see them doing it, and they set it up, they're on the stage where Magic City is a strip club. They're on the stage where the regular strip club stage. And there's a big space between two of them. They set up. You remember how Patti LaBelle and them sit down next to, no sitting down next to one another in this. They're far apart. And they had to literally jump down off a stage and climb back up. So I think they set it up so if anything went down, it had enough space between two of them. But I thinking, and sometimes these things is not the artist you have to worry about, it's the entourage. But you can't see all of them. All you're seeing is Jeezy and Gucci. And the first song Gucci Mane played about, he said, this is round one, Gucci Mane versus Jeezy. So now I mean, a little lost, but it song like, I thinking, but these men had double it out, not realizing there's a song he had do against Jeezy since back then. But anyway, fast forward to what they say was the biggest diss song between two of them, a song named The Truth. And the song was about basically killing Jeezy partner who he sent to kill him. And boy, that thing get dark. That man say, listen, put him in the ground. I say, but what kind of bad skylark is this? He's like, yeah, put him in the ground. He's like, send more of them or send them back in a box. Boy, I thought they was going to spray up the whole joint. But gratefully, the thing ended up smooth. Everything was good. I think Jeezy, a sort of apology. I guess it's a gangster apology. Saying, we passed that. We're doing it for the youths now with all these young rappers dying and thing. And Gucci kind of say, I accept the olive branch, no disrespect, it's all love. So I hope that done. That rap culture is a struggle for me. Because they're always talking about what happened in streets versus street thing versus music industry thing. And I can't understand. I like Joe Budden podcast, so I guess that might have given me deeper into rap than I ever was. But I don't like the music that much. I kind of like the stories and the personalities a little bit. But what I can understand is when you're making that kind of money and you're so good, you are right. What are you trying to war one another for? It's the strangest thing to me. Like, dude, Ole, all right. Look at the top guys in the game. If you look at Jeezy and Diddy and them, look how good them men do for themselves. Why they ain't just aspire to do that and work with one another and just make this thing happen instead of Ole still old man, 40 something. The man is 50 years old. Ole studying who old beef and who this and who disrespect who. I was glad to see them just get past that and just call that a day and move on. But that was my what night was that? I think that was Friday night or whenever it was. I enjoyed a little verses. Anyway, so on to more randomness. Yellow Cow TV is the greatest thing happening in Trinidad right now. I know I'm talking about this over and over, but you had to check it out. Last week they had when it's usually come out. It's come out Saturday morning, if I'm not mistaken. And they had Farmer Nappy on the last episode. Now, I was a big Farmer Nappy fan, so I'll put my disclaimer out there. But other than that, like I say with Nadia, you're going to see a different side of artists. And it's the same thing with Farmer Nappy. Like, you're going to see, I guess if you know him, you know that side. But it's more like just watching two artists talking. And here are some stories they listen is the greatest thing you ever see. Farmer Nappy give a love making, a breakdown on how to make love. He say he great at love making. So any man need to tune into Yellow Cow TV to see Farmer Nappy explain to you how to make love to a woman. And you ain't need no help, but you could use some help. So look at the Yellow Cow TV on YouTube and take in Farmer Nappy advice on that. And as we talking entertainment too, they say how much million Frenchmen can be wrong, right? So much people talking about Crown on Facebook and thing. I'm going to try to take in this Crown. Now, I'm not good with the English shows, I try with the Peaky Blinders, and I don't know, it's just too boring. So I'm gonna try with this Crown. I guess it's a true story, and it's Princess Diana and the history of them. I think they say Peaky Blinders was a true thing too. They say it was a real gang, but I couldn't make it too far with that. It was too dark and too boring and too slow. So I'm gonna try with Crown. I know it's not no action thing, but at least I know in the end Princess Diana. It come into Princess Diana at some point, and I was following that story back in the day and the Alpha Head thing and things. So, other than if this don't work, I've given up Netflix, and I need recommendations. I don't know what to do with my time and what to do for entertainment with this lockdown thing. But if this Crown not good, I am done. Netflix is a too much thing. It's not nothing to watch, boy. I don't know what it is. It's just cycling through reruns and watching us the old movies that you see. You know, my time I watch Coming to America. And then I have an Android box there. I watch. Anytime I pick it up, it's Shawshank Redemption. I have a list. It's Django, Shawshank Redemption. It's just the same set of movies I'm watching over and over. So, based on the wise and intelligent and cool people I see on Facebook who's talking about Crown, all they can be wrong. I'm going to try it. But if this is not it, I am done. But other than that, I think that's it for me there, you know. Again, I've always say a man driving a small car in Trinidad, small like a motorbike, he's the wisest man it have. I'm gonna try and see if I could get one of them small car, but I think that's about it for this week. So I'll talk to all you next week. Stay safe.